Katra sir and Professor M.S. Meena sir. Our distinguished guest for today's webinar, Dr. M. Rajivan, former Secretary, Ministry of Earth Science, Dr. S.D. Sahibi, former Additional Principal Chief Conservator for Forest, Himachal Pradesh. Am I audible, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At the outset, my heartiest wishes for International Day for the Preservation of Ozone Layer. We are celebrating this day by organizing a webinar to remind us that not only is ozone crucial for life on Earth, but that we must continue to protect the ozone layer for future generations. This day motivates us, teaches us that what can be achieved when every country on the planet works together for protecting the life on Earth, and also encourages us all to pay attention to environmental protection in order to preserve our ozone layer. We know that ozone serves as a kind of shield for the planet, and it is essential for preserving its ecology. About 90% of the atmospheric ozone is contained in the stratospheric ozone layer, which shields Earth's surface from harmful ultraviolet radiation which are emitted by the sun. With the permission of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, I would like to give a brief about ozone layer and importance of celebrating this day. It began in the mid-1970s when scientists discovered that some human-produced chemicals could lead to the depletion of stratospheric ozone layer. These trends were linked to growing production and use of chemicals like chlorofluorocarbons, which is used for spray, can propellants, refrigeration, and air conditioning. The resulting increase in ultraviolet radiation at Earth's surface would increase the incidence of skin cancer, eye cataract, and also it causes adversely impact on our plant, crops, and ocean planktons. So in 1985, the world's government adopted the Vienna Convention for the Protection of the Ozone Layer in response to the prospect of increasing ozone depletion. The Vienna Convention, if we talk about, it provided a framework to protect the ozone layer. In 1987, this Vienna framework or Vienna Convention led to the Montreal Protocol on the substances that deplete the ozone layer. This Montreal Protocol is an internationally treaty designed to control the production and consumption of chlorofluorocarbon and other ozone depleting substance. The objective of this protocol is to reduce the consumption of ODS in specific period to achieve the goal of the preservation of the ozone layer from further depletion. So on this day when Montreal Protocol was agreed upon, 16 September is now celebrated as the International Day for Preservation of the Ozone Layer. And at the meeting of the parties of the Montreal Protocol, which was held in Kigali, Rwanda during October 2016, the Kigali Amendment was also processed, which is for achieving new milestone. The Kigali Amendment, if we talk about, it is the 8th amendment in the agreement, and it is basically to phase down the global production and consumption of certain HFCs. Now, today, as we are celebrating and acknowledging the Montreal Protocol and its Kigali Amendment and its wider effect, this is 35 years of Montreal Protocol. So, to commemorate this day, the 35 years of Montreal Protocol, Global Cooperation to Protect Life on Earth has been chosen as this year theme in order to encourage sustainable development. Our esteemed speakers, Dr. Rajivan sir, Dr. Atri sir, and Dr. Saibi sir, will be dealing in detail about what is the role of our country in safeguarding the ozone layer, or how our country has progressed for achieving the milestone of Montreal Protocol and Kigali Amendment. But I would like to say that India has conclusively chosen a path for environmental friendly and energy efficient technology in India. It has, in India, we have been able to achieve the complete phase out of HCFC 141, which is one of the most potent ozone depleting chemical. And even if we say that India is one of the leading country in achieving the targets of Montreal Protocol and Kigali Amendment, it will not be a overstatement. With this background, it is indeed a great honor and pleasure for me to welcome you all for this national webinar on protecting life on Earth. Today, we are very much honored by the gracious presence of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Nagesh Rao sir, who has always guided us, encouraged us, and always supported us in all of our endeavors. And with his guidance and leadership and direction, we have launched many programs in environmental science, and we are offering master's program in environmental studies, like masters in environment science, master in environment and occupational health, masters in sustainability science, beside that various PG diplomas, certificate in various fields like climate change, solid waste management, biodiversity, sustainability science, occupational health, etc. So I welcome you, sir, on this webinar. We are delighted and overwhelmed by the gracious presence of our chief guest of today's seminar, Dr. M. Rajivan, former Secretary, Ministry of Earth Science. He is distinguished scientist in National Center for Earth Studies, Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala. I warmly welcome you, sir, and sincerely thank you. You have very kindly consented to share your vast knowledge and experience with us on this day. To briefly introduce the sir, sir has almost 38 years of experience in research and operational duties related to weather and climate services. He had served the India Meteorological Department for 21 years. At IMD, he had worked on weather forecasting and climate services, including long-range monsoon forecasting, development of prediction tool and climate data set. Then he moved to Indian Space Research Organization and Ministry of Earth Sciences. For a brief period of time, he was also the director of Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, Pune. He was during 2015 to July 21, he had worked as the secretary to the Government of India, Ministry of Earth Science, and one of the longest tenure as the secretary. So we warmly welcome you, sir. And I can say we are overwhelmed with your by your presence and express our sincere gratitude. We are eagerly waiting for your word of wisdom, sir. We are also elated and feel fortunate by the presence of Dr. S.D. Attri, who is Additional Director General of Meteorology, as guest of honor, and sincerely thank him for sharing his word of wisdom and joining us, enlightening us on this topic today. To briefly introduce Dr. S.D. Attri, he is presently Additional Director General of Meteorology India, Meteorological Department, Ministry of Earth Science, New Delhi. He has been member of Commissions for Atmospheric Science Management Group of World Meteorological Organization, which is popularly, which is called as WMO, Geneva, Switzerland. He is expert task force member of Global Framework for Climate Services of WMO, United Nations. He is presently member of the Standing Committee on Services to Agriculture, and which is an expert team on agromet risk management of SARCOM of WMO. So we warmly welcome you, as we know that Indian Meteorological Department is a nodal agency to measure the ozone levels in India. We are looking forward for your for guiding us how as an individual, as a university, as a community, we can work towards the protection of ozone layer. A very warm welcome to you, sir. We are delighted by the gracious presence of Dr. Geeta Ram Sahibi, who is former retired IFS officer and former additional principal chief conservator of Forest Himachal Pradesh. He has more than 38 years of experience in government sector with outstanding performance. He was additional principal chief conservator and also CEO and member secretary of ecotourism in Himachal Pradesh. A very warm welcome to you, sir. I also take this opportunity to warmly welcome all our PVCs, directors, registrars, head of divisions, IGNOU fraternity, and all the participants who have joined us through Zoom meeting or who has joined us through Facebook Live, IGNOU Facebook Live page or YouTube channel. And I really hope that this seminar will sensitize us, motivate us all to become pro practices and to fight the various environmental challenge. All I can say in that together we can work to preserve the ozone layer by adopting various eco-friendly practices, by promoting energy efficiency, by adopting low carbon, low emission technologies, and we can work for the protection of this planet. With these words, I sincerely thank you all for joining us and invite our chief guest.
Namaskar, Professor Rajivanji. There is a technical glitch, sir. So we are welcome you to speak.
Yeah, sure. So I will. Can I start my presentation? Address.
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Thank you.
Please,
thank
sir.
you. Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you. Professor Nagesh Rao, Honorable Vice Chancellor IGNOU, Dr. S.D. Atri, Dr. Ram Sahib, Professor Sachit Shah, Director IGNOU, distinguished delegates, participants, and students. I am very delighted to participate in the national seminar on protecting life on Earth being organized by IGNOU and also addressing to all of you. Thank you, Professor Sajid Shah, for the kind invitation to participate in this important national seminar as the chief guest. It's a great honor to me. Thank you very much. The focal theme of the national seminar is protecting life on Earth. I must congratulate the IGNOU for choosing this important focal theme for discussions. We all know that ozone layer, a fragile shield gas, protects the Earth from the harmful portion of the ultraviolet rays of the sun, thus helping preserve life on the planet. Ozone depletions up to 70% in the ozone column was first discovered somewhere in 1985. The austral southern hemispheric spring over Antarctica by a study by Foreman et al. From British Antarctica Survey. The ozone depletion is still continuing. Antarctica total ozone column in September and October have continued to be 40 to 50% lower than the pre-ozone holes value since the 1990s. A gradual trend toward healing was reported in 2016, but in 2017, NASA announced that the ozone hole in 2017 was the weakest since 1988 because of warm stratospheric conditions. It is expected to recover now only around 2070. Many people have heard about the ozone hole is caused by chemicals called CFSC or chlorofluorocarbons. These gases escape into the atmosphere from refrigeration and the propellant devices and processes. In the lower atmosphere, they are very stable and they persist for years and even decades. This long lifetime allows some of the CFCs to eventually reach the stratosphere around 20-25 kilometers in the height. The stratosphere UV radiation breaks the bonding holding chlorine atoms to the CFC molecule. A free chlorine atom goes to participate in a series of chemical reactions that both destroy ozone and return the free chlorine atom to the atmosphere unchanged, or it can destroy more and more ozone molecules. World Ozone Day, observed every year on September 16, is also known as the International Day for the Preservation of the Ozone Layer. This date was designated by the United Nations General Assembly in 1994, commemorating the date in 1987 when all nations signed the Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer. The need to declare an action to preserve the ozone layer came as a result of the outset of this depletion. World Ozone Day opens up the opportunity for individuals and nations to come up with innovations in green energy. Reliance to green energy will help to relieve the depletion of the ozone layer. World Ozone Day gives us the opportunity to learn about the ways we can all contribute to the preservation of our planet. If it promotes a cause bigger than any individual and also affects the whole of humanity. The phase out of controlled uses of ozone depleting substances and the related reductions have not only helped to protect the ozone layer for this and future generations, but also have contributed significantly to global efforts to address a rather bigger issue of climate change. We all know due to increase in greenhouse gases, warming of the planet is happening, and that we call as global warming. So climate change is the defining issue of our time now, and we are at a defining moment. From shifting weather patterns that threaten food production to rising sea levels and the risk of catastrophic flooding, the impacts of climate change are global in scope and unprecedented in timescale. Without drastic action today, adapting to these impacts in the future will be more difficult and also it will be very costly. Climate change poses the biggest economic threat and is a recurring point of discussion in the UN Sustainable Development Goals, so-called SDGs of 2030. Climate change leads to increase in extreme weather events, higher energy demands, and environment pollution, which links to health. The recent episodes of heat waves over India and Pakistan, floods over urban cities like Mumbai, Chennai, and Bangalore are good examples how our climate is changing and what could be their serious impacts. The heat wave in March, April over Northwest India caused deaths of many people, and also it had impact on wheat crop yield from Northwest India. When we discuss the climate change, we remember the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is legally binding international treaty on climate change. It was adopted by 196 parties or countries at COP21 in Paris on 12th December 2015 and entered into force on 4th November 2016. Its goal is to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees, preferably to 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial levels. To achieve this long-term temperature goal, countries aim to reach global peaking of greenhouse gas emission as soon as possible to achieve a climate-neutral world by mid-century. The Paris Agreement is a landmark in the multilateral climate change process because for the first time a binding agreement brings all nations into common cause to undertake ambitious efforts to combat climate change and adapt to its effects. I will move on to the next important issue which we face in India is the environmental pollution. It remains a serious problem in developing countries, affecting the lives of billions of people and reducing the life expectancy. The State Environment Report showed that India ranked 168 out of 180 countries in the Environment Performance Index. The EPA has calculated various indicators such as environment, health, climate, air pollution, sanitation, and biodiversity. There's a lot of controversy on this Environment Performance Index, but however, we all should know that our environmental condition is not that good. Air pollution is the second largest risk factor for all ill health in India, only behind malnutrition. Since 1990, death rates from ambient air pollution, particulate matter, and ozone have increased substantially. We all know that stratospheric ozone, which is around 20-25 kilometers, is good for our life because it protects ultraviolet radiation from sun. But any ozone amount, any ozone molecules near the surface, which is near to our life, is really not good. Ozone is a dangerous gas. It first of all is a greenhouse gas, and it also can have devastating health effects. So surface ozone is not good, but whereas stratospheric ozone is good. So the death rates from ambient air pollution, particulate matter, and ozone have increased substantially with the contribution from both household and ambient air pollution. India has several of the most polluted cities on the planet, with annual exposure across most of North India exceeding global and domestic standards. As per the reports, both the surface and groundwater in the country are also under threat, with 86% of the water bodies critically polluted. Delhi was found to be the most polluted capital in the world for the fourth consecutive year in 2021. According to a new report, 35 of the 50 cities with the worst air quality were in India. In 2021, none of the cities in India met the prescribed World Health Organization air quality standards of 5 micrograms per cubic meter. New Delhi saw a 14.6% increase in PM 2.5 concentration in 2021 with the levels earlier. It is again highlighting that people are breathing dangerously polluted air. Vehicular emissions are one of the major contributions to urban PM 2.5 concentrations. With the annual vehicle sales in India expected to increase, it is certainly going to impact air quality if corrective measures are not taken in time. Unless industries around Delhi dump coal for cleaner fuels, air quality in the national capital region will not improve. However, the India government has taken a lot of initiative through Ministry of Environment and Forest. They have set up a commission for air quality over Delhi and HCR. And we should hope that this commission will do a lot of good things so that the air quality in Delhi and HCR will further improve. WHO estimated that 25% of all the deaths in developing world can be directly attributed to environmental factors. India also faces these challenges. We also need to, for this, we also need to strengthen the national clean air program, not only for the non-attainment cities, but also for the larger regions. Though the Indo-Gangetic plains suffer the most due to the geographical disadvantage, poor air quality is now a major challenge in other parts of the country, including northeast and coastal states. Air quality management must be integrated into the larger public health infrastructure programs. This requires multi-sector action in all key sectors of pollution. That's vehicles, industry, power plants, waste, household fuels, and others, so that air quality standards are met around the year. Now I will move on to the last point, important aspect is our biodiversity. The planet is witnessing a massive loss of biodiversity. Nature is unable to ensure quality of life for us and for others. According to a study, the world is believed to be currently undergoing the so-called sixth mass extinction phase. The first ever global ecosystem assessment released in 2019 by the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services says that the current rate and scale of extinction caused primarily by humans has never been seen before. According to this assessment, 1 million animal and plant species are on the verge of extinction. Thousands of these would disappear within decades. More than 99% of all organisms that have ever lived on the earth are now extinct. As new species evolve to fit ever-changing ecological niches, older species will fade away. But the rate of extinction is far from constant. Natural ecosystems have declined by 47% on average, relating to the earliest estimated states. With biodiversity loss impacting the goals related to poverty, hunger, health, water, cities, climate, and oceans, and land, 35 of the 44 assessed targets, almost 80%, of the UN mandated Sustainable Development Goals will not be met. We are living through a period of extraordinary environmental breakdown, a period which is increasingly being referred to as Anthropocene. Originally proposed by atmospheric scientists and then geologists, the Anthropocene has come to the fore as a powerful, if perplexing, way of talking about our current era. This is a period in which, for the first time in its history, the Earth is being deeply transformed by one species, that is, humans. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015, provides a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet now into the future. At its heart rate are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, which are an urgent call for all action by all countries, developing as well as developed, in a global partnership. They recognize that ending poverty and other deprivations must go hand in hand with the strategies that improve health and education, reduce inequality, and spur economic growth, all while tackling climate change and working to preserve all our oceans and forests. NITI Aayog is monitoring the implementation of SDGs in all states and make a report every year. The report says that we need to invest more and do much more work in implementing some of the SDGs by many states. With this background, I'll stop here. I'm sure some of these issues will be discussed in this national seminar on protecting life on Earth today. What we need to do, we need to act immediately and also consistently to protect our planet Earth. May not be for us, but for our children and our grandchildren. Once again, thank you, IGNOU, for inviting me to participate in this important national seminar. I wish you all the best and very useful deliberations and discussions during the national seminar. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. That was very informative, and you have really touched on climate change, environmental sustainability is about century. It requires the global cooperation at various levels with us, and we have really learned about so many things which are very pertinent for us to know. Thank you so much, sir. I would now like to request our guest of honor for today's program, Dr. Esri Atriji, Additional Director General of Meteorology, Indian Meteorological Department, New Delhi. Am I audible?
Yeah. Thank you, madam.
Yeah.
Good morning
Sir,
to all.
Yeah, I welcome you, sir. It is our privilege, and we would like to know more about climate resilience and environmental sustainability. I welcome you, sir, please.
Yeah. Thank you. Respected chief guest of today's seminar, Dr. M. Rajivan, former Secretary, Minister of Earth Sciences, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Nageshwar Rao, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Guest of Honor, Dr. G. Ram Sahibi, Professor Sachi Shah, Professor Rupani, distinguished directors and faculties of esteemed university IGNOU, participants, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks for inviting me to this important seminar because it is related to protecting humanity, protecting biodiversity. My life has been made more easier by excellent address by Dr. Rajivan covering various topics: climate, ozone, air pollution, biodiversity, and proper perspective put up by Professor Sachi Shah on the topic. So most of the things they have put into the right perspective, and what is expected from the scientific community, and what all of us should do for protecting life on the earth. So I have a small presentation I would like to share with you. Okay. Is it visible? Hello?
Not yet, sir. Not yet, sir. Yeah, it's coming. Yes, it's visible.
It's visible, sir. It's visible.
Okay, and I am audible also.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just a moment. Full screen is visible, madam?
No, sir. Full screen is not visible, sir. Full screen is not visible.
Just a moment. And slides are changing?
No, sir. It is first slide only.
Okay.
Now it is changing, sir. Now it is changing.
Okay. Thank you. So,
Thanks.
may I start now?
Please, sir. Please.
Thank you. So, I will be talking mainly on the climate, ozone, and sustainable living. You may be aware that World Economic Forum, they bring out a report every year on 15th January, and they identified 10 risks which globe is going to face in the coming years or the next decades. If you will see these risks, out of the 10 major risks, 5 are related to environment, whether it is extreme weather events or biodiversity loss or livelihood crisis. Up to 2020, infectious disease was not there, and with the COVID for the last 2 years, it has come a major risk. And this subject, I just mentioned that I will be talking on the 3 aspects: climate, ozone, and then how to address these issues. This subject of the climate is very new, only 43 years old subject, but everybody is concerned within the 43. Why is it so? We'll see in next 5 to 10 minutes. First World Climate Conference was held in 1979, where thousands of the scientists met, and they found out that there is definitely science behind the climate change, and it resulted into the formation of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. I will be talking little on this. Second attempt was in 1990 to make political class aware about the threat of the climate change, because money has to come from them. And third attempt in 2009, World Climate Conference 3, that every penny which we spend on the climate or climate change has to go to for societal benefits. If we construct, say, for last 4 lakh years, CO2 and temperature both are matching, because remember 3 gases, most of you may be knowing that carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, they are major greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, and out of these, 2/3 contribution is from CO2. What is happening to CO2? That is reflecting in temperature. Higher the CO2, higher the temperature. During last 120 years, temperature increases of the order of 1.1 degrees centigrade, and everybody is concerned. But we have seen around 4-degree temperature change in last 4 lakh years. Why we are so concerned? There are 2 reasons to this. That now CO2 was never in the atmosphere during last 10 lakh years, even 300 ppm, always below 300 ppm. Already we are having now more than 410 ppm. And second thing, earlier change was in thousands of lakhs of years. Now it has come to hundreds of years. Remember one thing, if there is change of the temperature less than 1 degree in 1000 years, it is gradual change. If anything more than 1 degree, it is cause of concern. And already I mentioned in 100 years, it is 1 degree. 1000 years, if it is 10 or more, you can imagine what will happen to it. And these are the different gases which are contributing to the climate change. Now, CO2, methane, and nitrous oxide I mentioned, and their present concentration is 413 for CO2, 1189 methane, and 333 and 2. If we take power of these gases, we assign one value to CO2. Same amount of methane is 21 times more warmer, and to a 310, and some of the chlorofluorocarbons 23,900 times more warmer than CO2. And I have put their values at 0. Chlorofluorocarbons, which are causal for destruction of the ozone layer, their value are 0 because they don't occur in the natural atmosphere. They are all man-made from the coolant, fridge, or refrigerants, and their life is very high. So we have to be very careful about this. Now, some of the aspects on the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, they bring out 3 reports. One on the science, second on impacts, adaptation, and vulnerability, and third on the mitigation. And they work on 3 aspects. Every bit of warming matters, every year's matters, and every choice matters. And they have brought out already 6 reports. 6 is underway. Last year, this year they brought out 2 reports in February and April, and next synthesis report will come in 2022. Madam, it is clearly visible now? Hello?
Yes, sir. I think. Yes, sir.
And slide is also moving. Hello?
Yes, sir. Your slides are not visible now, sir, to me.
Not.
Yes, it is visible,
No,
sir.
they are
It is
visible.
clearly.
This is increase in surface temperature. This is the slide. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So
Yes.
this is the slide for which IPCC was given Nobel Peace Prize in 2007. For the first time, IPCC came with the authoritative statement that today's climate change is due to human activities. If we say humans are not doing anything, then world temperature should have been lower, which is green. But if we take natural as well as human contribution and observation, they are matching. So today's rapid climate change is due to human activities, and Indian government also called Indian contributors, and they felicited these groups who are contributing to the IPCC. I mentioned they have brought out this 6th report in working group 1 report in last August 21. If temperature goes around 1.5 degree, world will like this with 2 degree, and we don't do much, then world can be like this 4 degree warming. And every year you will find that breaks the record of the previous year temperature. 2016 is still the warmest year, and all the 10-11 years they are in the current century. You will find that it means earlier 1990 is the warmest, but warming is increasing, and the last 7 years continuously they are the warmest years. So lots of these greenhouse gases and impact on the global warming is there. As far as temperature is concerned, globe total temperature remains the same, but somewhere increase or decrease. Where it is increasing, we are finding more floods. We are decreasing more, we are finding more drought years. And you will find that extreme weather events, particularly heavy rainfall events like that in short span of time, they are increasing over most parts of the world. This blue plus, that's so increase in the extreme precipitation, only few areas where red is there, decrease in the precipitation is there. If we take this nutshell of what was in the working group 1, that in next 20 years, global warming will breach a threshold of 1.5 degrees centigrade, and already this CO2 concentration I mentioned is highest in last 20 lakh years. With 1 degree rise in temperature, there will be 7% increase in extreme weather events. If we talk with the working group 2 reports, already 3.3 to 3.6 billion people, they are vulnerable to climate change. And this report has identified 127 key risk area where humans have to take actions. And if we take the adaptation, like we need $127 billion by 2030 and $295 billion by 2050 for adaptation purposes. One good thing in this report is there that 3 cities of India, Surat, Indore, and Bhubaneswar, they have been mentioned that these cities have adopted climate resilient practices. Even ancient practices of water conservation in South India, that also find mention into the reports. As far as this mitigation third report is concerned, that we should put money to address the climate change, because by the middle of the century, around 35 million people in India could face annual flooding, with 45 to 50 million at risk by the end of the century. And we need, everybody is talking zero emissions by 2050. Some are taking conviction up to 2060 or 2070. But remember one thing, if we want to limit temperature by 1.5 degrees centigrade, we need to reduce GHG emissions by 43% by 2030. And this assessment shows that warming to around 2 degrees centigrade still requires global greenhouse gas emissions to peak before 2025 and reduce by a quarter by 2030. So huge commitments are needed, because our secretary also mentioned that Environment Department has long history of monitoring parameters of the environment, and we are maintaining a network for surface observatory, automatic weather station, automatic rain gauge station, and rain gauges which are state government, university, colleges, or schools. We are around 5,000. We have 33 radars. We have huge network provide climate assessment. I was just talking about the globe. If we take India also, Indian temperature during last 121 years has increased by 0.63 degree. Globe is 1.1 degree centigrade. As far as rain is concerned, total rains doesn't show any trend, because 75% of the rain we get in monsoon season. So trend of the annual and monsoon both are same. But total remains, but cause of concern that central part of the India, both in the annual as well as monsoon rainfall, there is decrease in rainfall. That is within 10%, but definite significant decrease is there, and it is the rain-fed areas. If rain is there, agriculture is there, but if rain fails, lots of the problems are there. And if we,
sorry to interrupt, sir, but your PPT is not moving, sir.
Oh, okay.
Now. Yes, sir.
Okay, I will go away with this. So we find the rainfall is decreasing during winter season as well as central part of India during pre-monsoon season, but it is compensated by increase in rainfall in the post-monsoon season. I mentioned total remains the same. One bad thing is that low and moderate rainfall events, they are decreasing, because in that case most of the water goes into the soil. But very heavy rainfall, as the global scenario in India also, we are finding increase in the heavy rainfall events, be it Chennai, be it Bangalore, Mumbai, Kedarnath, or see any part, or Guwahati. We find this way, this city or that city, every year we find such extreme events. IMD has made a study with the recent data from 1989 to 2018, particularly recent monsoon years, and we find 5 states, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, Meghalaya, and Nagaland, there is significant decreasing trend in monsoon season. And if we had 2 more states, Arunachal Pradesh and Himachal Pradesh, they also show decreased trend. So 7 states, definite decrease, but district levels, many districts show somewhere increasing, somewhere decreasing trends are there. A study by IITM are also there that they find that there is already decrease of 6% of rainfall in Western Ghats and Indo-Gangetic plains, and they have projected like world temperature increase could be between 2.7 to 4.4 degrees centigrade, like world I mentioned 4 degrees centigrade. This is the scenario. If we take lots of precautions, then temperature increase by 21st century could be 1.3 to 2.4, and if we will take much actions, then it can go by 4.4 from 3.3 to 5.7 degrees centigrade. This was something about the climate change. Let's come to the ozone. Ozone, like generally people say, we cannot live with it, we cannot live without it, because at the surface it is a polluter, it is a bad ozone, but we have to live with it. And in upper atmosphere, if ozone destruction is there, harmful UVs come to the surface, and we can't live without ozone also. So both way, we have to have ozone, we have to manage the ozone. Just a small history of the ozone. First time 1913 ozone layer was discovered. Then 29 ozone maxima altitude was determined in 1930. The mechanism behind ozone layer at 85 this Vienna Convention, and 1987 first global this protocol. So people are talking mainly on these aspects, and we are also talking. As far as ozone or absorption is there, ozone can be divided into three parts like UVA, ultraviolet A, UV radiation because it absorbs ozone in different bands, and these are three: ultraviolet A, 315 to 400, UVB and UVC. Lower the wavelength, it is more dangerous because it has more energy, like UVC is more dangerous as compared to UVA. UVC, nearly all UVC is absorbed into the atmosphere, which is more dangerous, which I mentioned. 90% of the UVB that is absorbed by atmosphere, mostly ozone, and this UVA not strongly absorbed by the UVA of the UVA by ozone into the atmosphere. Now let's talk of the ozone hole. Ozone is derived from the Greek word ozean, which means smell. And you already know that this is the ozone hole, depletion of ozone. This is not like any hole in a wall or like that. When this concentration of the ozone decreases at a particular level, generally we call it 300 Dobson units. Anything below that, we call it a ozone hole. And this is the latest data of 2022. Like if we go with the data and we take data from 1979, IMD has observation since 1955 for ozone, both column, total as well as surface ozone, and we take this 2000 years, 2006 year was when ozone hole was the maximum and the column concentration was lowest in 1994. You will find that particularly nitric acid trihydrate, because they act as a catalyst for polar stratospheric cloud, and their value is very high. They impact ozone, and you will find that this value is when this is lower and higher, this is corresponding to that. As well as far as ozone depleting substances are concerned, chlorofluorocarbons, then they came with the halocarbons or ozone friendly substances, but now Western countries are calling that they are greenhouse warming agents. This politics is going on, but you will find that these ozone depleting substances, because after the protocol, they are on the decrease. Most of the countries, they have taken actions, and our ozone is in the recovery phase. As like other countries, India is also having stations. In the Antarctica, we have 2 stations. Bharti as well as Maitris. We have surface ozone measurements or the column measurement. Ozone zones we do have. We have automatic weather stations since 1982. Continuous measurements are there. And similarly, like Indian data also shows shows ozone hole when value was less than 220. The observations are similar like from other centers of the globe. And this is another example from 2017 for the ozone hole. Some few slides on ozone recovery. I already mentioned that ozone depleting substances, they are on wane and ozone recovery has started. It is good thing. And what we can do, we should protect us from the UV rays, and sometimes people simple uh, ways to measure that our shadow. Easy way to tell how much UV exposure you are getting is to look for your shadow. If your shadow is taller than you, that is in the early morning or afternoon, your exposure is likely to be more. If shadow is less, then exposure will be more. You can see this. As far as this appliances to minimize the ozone layer impact, refrigerator, air conditioner, other equipments, we already know that we should take mitigative measures so that these chlorofluorocarbons should not escape from our refrigerators. Everybody is talking of the sustainable living, sustainable goals. Now 17 are the sustainable goals, and these 7 are directly related to ozone and climate. So we cannot have world like this. This is the best, but we can't have. We have more than 7 billion population in the world, 700 crore से ज्यादा population है. We cannot have world like this, all concrete jungle. So we have to have balance of both. And if we take vulnerability, distribution of vulnerability up to 2050, this is more modest category, but 21st century up to 2050, most part of the showing parts of the world, they show they are in the red category or more vulnerable. This COP21 in 2015, that's what the major achievement when this first was this protocol was ratified, and people agreed that we should limit the temperature up to 1.5 or maximum 2 degrees centigrade. What's the sanctity? If temperature of the globe goes beyond 2 degrees centigrade, then thousands of the islands and 40% of the Bangladesh will be under ocean. That's why everybody is talking we should limit up to 2 degrees centigrade. And this is like emissions per capita. We are very less, but people show no total. China is number 1, US number 2, EU 3, and India comes under 4. 3-4 more slides. So we took target in 2015 that our non-conventional energy contribution will be 40%, and we took solar energy, hydropower, wind energy, and biomass energy. But last year, our Honorable Prime Minister announced the target like 50% of our requirement will be from the non-conventional resources. So, last 2 slides, 50% we can go there, but what about the next 50%? From where it will come? So it has to come from the hydrogen, this hydrogen technologies. Hydrogen mission was launched by Honorable Prime Minister last year. So people are talking different type of the hydrogen, green hydrogen, where we use green power to break water. Hydrogen is used for power generation, and O2 is released into the atmosphere. But as far as blue hydrogen is concerned, we use natural gas, use hydrogen and put CO2 underground. But as far as gray hydrogen is concerned, this is not good because natural gas is used, but CO2 is released into the atmosphere. People are also using this. Yellow hydrogen when we use solar power, pink, red, or purple hydrogen when we use nuclear energy, and what are the challenges? How to introduce green technology and what scale, because cost is involved. Electric power vehicles, government of policy by 2030, we should have more than 40%, but identifying suitable space for installation of the solar panel would take lots of space. Now, government is talking to railways and other people where land is degraded so that we can put there. Cost of non-conventional energy has to be reduced. Insurance issues are very important because unless money is ensured, people will not use technology. Western countries is not giving. Encourage citizens to adopt green technology. Green cover we have to increase. Resilient cities, and one point where university, college, and school, they can play major role, like capacity building program of students, public, because the environment is degrading. We are just considering dumping ground, and we have to take lots of care for protecting environment, protecting ozone. We have to put many, we have to plant trees. Even we celebrate our birthdays, we can take conviction that we will plant one tree on each birthday. More than 135 crores trees will be there. So we need to take many climate resilient, climate friendly initiatives. So this is my last slide. Thank you very much for patient hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for that detailed information about the various parameters. It was very interesting to know the relationship between our shadow and the extent of UV exposure that we have. So that was very interesting on various fronts, and definitely the role of programs in sensitizing the learners is very important. So thank you so much for directing us the way forward towards how we can phase out ozone depleting substances so that we are able to live in a much more green world, because weather extremes are a new normal nowadays. So thank you so much. That was very enlightening, and we could know so many things from your session. It is my privilege now to welcome our next guest of honor, Dr. G.R. Sahibiji, retired IAS officer, former additional principal, Chief Conservation of Forest, Chief Conservator of Forest, Himachal Pradesh. Sir, it is my privilege to welcome you on the national webinar that we are celebrating today, and I request you to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you, madam. Is it getting or no?
Yes, sir. But PPT, yeah, you have to open it now.
You're appearing?
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, it's there?
Yeah, it's there.
Sir.
Okay, I'm also audible.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So thank you very much for inviting me today, or rather giving me this opportunity to see through webinar the high dignified people and the participants who are here, and we are celebrating today the Ozone Day. And this is, I think, those people who are present, it means it is a great concern for all of us, because ozone belongs to everyone. It doesn't belong to any particular section or a particular area or a particular region. It is an umbrella to our ecosystem, to our universe, to our atmosphere. So, in today's talk, giving me this opportunity to speak to you, and those who are present, I welcome them, and for sparing their valuable time to listen to me on this occasion. So, really, I'm thankful. I could see Dr. Nageshwar Rao, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the IGNOU University, Atriji, for his wonderful talk on the issue, and former Secretary, Union Secretary, who is also present here, and ma'am. So actually, it is a scenario all over the world that we have been talking about the climate change, this and that, and probably me also attended a number of international webinar also on the issues. But thing is that again, then the aerosols and these they are again being liberated into atmosphere. Now, if you look that in the Himalayas ecosystem, we are having 24% of the this Himalayan ecosystem total geographical area of the um, uh, land, and usually we are and it's meeting the need of the 12% of the world population in this area. But even then, though the in this area, usually the sky remains clean sometime, but the ultraviolet rays are more in the high altitude. But all over the scenario, if we see, this is this is the ozone layer, which the picture has been taken by satellite, and this is the ozone layer. Then we have this zone of the atmosphere that we have: troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, then exosphere, and most of the activities which are taking place, that is in the troposphere. And next is the stratosphere, and ozone. 90% of the ozone is layer is found in the stratosphere, and 10% is in troposphere. And that ozone, which is is produced by the organic volatile compounds and nitrous oxide, and that acts as a greenhouse gas. But stratospheric ozone, which is there, that really helps in us protect, which is 90% of the total ozone available, that really acts as a barrier and protect us the UV rays. And if you go to the next slide, then this is actually how this is troposphere, that again, that is kind of now this is a solar radiation what we are receiving at the global budget we are getting on the Earth. The 7% is the UV rays, and 41% is the visible light, and 50% is the infrared rays. And the global budget is like that. We are getting the solar radiation to the extent of 342 WM square in a particular 1 meter square area of the surface of the Earth. Then 30% is reflected back, and out of balance 70%, 62 WM square is absorbed by the atmosphere, and 62 M square is WM square is heated, required for the heating of the surface area and maintaining the global temperature to 15 degree. And if it is not there, then the global temperature would have been much less, 30 degree, and not fit for habitation, and it would have not been habitable. This is again a picture of the solar radiation, the ozone, and the ozone depletion. Of total, if the ozone which is available around the ozone layer, that protects us undoubtedly from the ultraviolet rays. And but if you look at this picture, the total share of in an ideal situation in the atmosphere, we have nitrogen 78%, oxygen 21%, and rest of the gases almost less than 1%. And this is the actually which makes the difference in the climate change. So greenhouse gases, the carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, water vapor, ozone in the troposphere, and greenhouse effect that leads to the Earth increase in temperature. Then this is the projection of the ultraviolet rays, visible rays, and infrared rays. Then ultraviolet rays radiation, they are of a high energy, which have capacity to harm the human cell. Human cell means it creates a cataract problem, and as well as responsible for skin cancer. Ozone observes the ultraviolet rays and coming from the sun and obstruct the way to reach the Earth's surface, and that means in the troposphere. Ozone is pale blue with pungent smell and poisonous gas. And UV rays breaks what these ultraviolet rays do. They break the oxygen molecule into O and into radicals, free radicals O, and they get attached with again O2, to form O3. So it's a big chain. It's a continuous reaction, and it is a naturally formation in the atmosphere how the ozone is being prepared in the atmosphere. So, but the ozone at the moment is being, it has been reported by various scientists working in NASA, ISRO, and those who are dealing with the space, and they have found it that and dealing with the atmosphere, that excessive use of the man-made chemical compounds which release bromine and chlorine, they are primarily responsible for the depletion of the ozone layer. And these are the compounds which are responsible, that the chlorofluorocarbon, CFCs, HFC, halon, and methyl chloroform, carbon tetrachloride, hydrochlorofluorocarbon, methyl bromide, hydrofluorobromone carbon. So the sources that these are being emitted from the refrigerator, ACs, foam blowing agents, fire suppressors, industrial solvents, dry cleaning solvents, electrical equipment, electronic equipment. And the chlorine, it acts as a stilling. Chlorine and bromine, they act as a stilling agent. What does it do in the atmosphere, in the ozone area? It steals one of the oxygen, one of the O, because ozone is O3, that is three atom of the oxygen joining and form the O3. It steals one of the oxygen O atom from the ozone, and it turns into the O2, and it takes away one C and makes a product like ClO2, like that. Then it is a continuous reaction. Ultimately, it leads to depletion of the ozone, and because this one chlorine can steal more than 1,000 atom of the O, oxygen, from the ozone. Then it leads to formation of the ozone hole. And Dr. Atri has very well said, ozone hole, we call it's not a hole, but it is a thinning of the layer of the ozone. And in Antarctica, it was found in 1985 of the magnitude of the more than 24 million square kilometer. And these are the layers, pictures of the ozone that in 1980, then 1990, these are taken from the satellite. Then 2000, 2015, how the size, then into 94, then October 19. Now it is being told that it is almost healed up. Because the stringent method has been taken, and this chlorofluorocarbon and now HFC, that production or the use in the various product which used to release the chlorofluorocarbon HFC, that is being now reduced drastically, so it is being healed up. And now this is the actually again graphic picturization of the ozone hole between September 7 and to October 13, that how the ozone hole was increasing. Now you see the picture here. After 96, it has become stable. Now there are many conventions which take measures for ozone depletion, for the use of the substances which lead to the ozone depletions. There are the Vienna Convention, we call 1985 on ozone depletion, then Montreal Convention 87 on ozone depleting substances, then Kigali Convention 2016, which is a amendment to the Montreal Convention held, and there are it's a binding on the government and various countries to reduce the use of the CFC and especially HFC. Now, there is Earth Summit. They also spoke about the climate change. Then Kyoto Protocol 97, which came into force 2005. Paris Agreement 2015, COP21. Then Sustainable Development Goal 2030 agenda, that we will be reducing the various aerosols and especially carbon content to rehabilitate our environment. Then in COP26, which was held in Glasgow and UK, it was held last year only, where our Honorable Prime Minister himself given a statement that by 2070, we will be fossil free country. And that means some drastic measures are to be taken to reduce the carbon content being emitted into the atmosphere. So then or the Kigali agreement, because it is especially for the ozone depletion, reducing the use of the depleting agent in October 2016. In Rwanda, it is signatory countries to this is 170 countries. It is an amendment to the Montreal Protocol aimed at protecting the climate and ozone layer and to achieve over 80% reduction HFC consumption by 2047. The impact by reducing the use of these product which leads to depletion of the ozone layer, the impact of the amendment will avoid 0.5% degree in global temperature by end of the century. It will be a big gain if we follow in as per the amendment. Then how can we reduce? That is by less use of the fuel, and that is reducing the use of the fuel and petrol used in vehicle, rather go by hybrid vehicle, and less use of pesticide because they also emit certain products which are responsible for ozone depletion. Limited use of harmful chemical for cleaning, that can reduce. And this all leads to climate change. So I can go quickly, and that results in the global warming. And now this is a permafrost, and permafrost, if the temperature increase now at the moment, IPCC in its report has very well said that the global temperature of the Earth has increased from 0.1 to 1.2 degrees centigrade, on an average 1 degree centigrade. And these are the permafrost which are found in an area where the temperature usually in a year remains 0 degree or sub-zero degree. And these are the storehouses of the methane and carbon dioxide. And if the temperature increases beyond 1 degree, say about 3 or 4 degree, then these storehouses will blast. And how much is there is 38,000 gigaton stored in the house in the ocean, and deep in the ocean is 37,000 gigaton, and 1,000 ton is the upper layer of the ocean, compared to what is approximately 750 gigaton in the atmosphere at the moment. So if we are not able to control the temperature of the Earth as of now, because of Paris Agreement, Kyoto Protocol, Rio de Janeiro Summit, Earth Summit, and Montreal Protocol, and Kigali conventions, I think, and not able to control this, release of these substances which are responsible for the depletion of the ozone layer, then the permafrost will be get lost, and it will be really very difficult to control the situation at the moment. So what are the impact studies show that between 1980 2008, the extent of the sea ice had declined by average of 11%, with the thickness of the sea ice reduced by 50% in the Antarctica. So, and the coral bleaching has been seen that xanthoxylly, one algae which remains with the coral in a symbiotic relationship, that is being kicked out when there is a temperature increase and carbon being dissolved in the water and give it the shape of carbonic acid. That is being kicked out, and ultimately there are 40% of the marine species which live in symbiotic relation with the coral. They depend on their habitat on the coral. Then what will be their fate? You can very well visualize. Then there is due to change in the temperature, there is change in the phenology, poleward shape, upslope, range shape, extinction, expense of invasive species, increasing vulnerability to pests and natural disasters, negative impact on the delivery of the eco services. The latest report of the IPCC, that is the fifth report, AR5 we call it, finds that climate change has impacted human and natural system on all the continents and in all the oceans, and that natural systems are most severely impacted at the moment. So the acidification, I have clarified, that has increased to be found to be 30 times more than natural variation. And mean surface ocean pH has decreased by 0.1 unit since the Industrial Revolution. And there is a effect of the ocean warming on the biological diversity. Warm water causes coral to expel, that I have explained already. Changing global regional coastal climate, eutrophication are observed to increase the prevalence of the reduced oxygen level, that is 0.2 ppm, which leads to hypoxia, making marine ecosystem more vulnerable. And it forces the increased temperature, that forces the migration of the species, and warm water decreases the upwelling, causing less nutrients to reach the surface of the ocean water. Then impact is on this species. The picture is in the tiger, and they were about to extinct, but now some tiger project and some measurement in situ and ex situ conservation measure has been taken, so we are able to rehabilitate it. And the good news is that we will now, because of this, many species are getting extinct because of the climate change, and this ozone, that is ultraviolet ray, that is also impacting the marine species, the study says. So they try to go to a safer place. Now, good news is that we are getting cheetah, and almost must be landing shortly in India, being brought from Namibia. And we will be having over next 5 years from 40 to 50, as has been told in the report. So now you see how much money we will be requiring for rehabilitating our environment. The cheetah was a local species in this area, and in 1952, government of India announced that cheetah is extinct from India. So you see, it is very difficult to rehabilitate. Once we spoil our ecosystem, we spoil our, climate, and so rehabilitation takes a lot of money. It's not an easy thing. So invasive species that takes place, and there is what we call succession, and biodiversity is lost, right? Now I go to the next. Why it's not? Yes. Now this is the scenario of the Antarctica, where the thickness of the ice surge, ice cap has reduced drastically. And not only that, climate change, that is impacting our crop production. 35% for it is estimated impact both historical and future climate change on the cereal crop yields, so that yield loss can be up to 35% for rice, 20% for wheat, 50% for sorghum, and 13% for barley, and 60% for maize, depending on the geographical location, climate scenario. This is the study by Porter et al. 2014, K3, J3, and 2017. So the impact mainly many regions of the Europe, Africa, Middle East, Asia, and Africa, and are experiencing increased frequency of the drought, sea level rise, high temperature, cause from migration. World Bank estimated 140 million people in Africa, Latin America, and South Asia by 2050 will be affected, and they will try to migrate to the safer places for their livelihood. 70,000 people in the Sundarban will be rendered houseless by 2030. This is a projection made through simulations and with the scenario which is going on. And these people, once they migrated, they will face again trouble in getting settlement at the new place, and especially the women, they will face more problem getting settled, because they are responsible for rearing the family, taking care of the family, their kids, and going to the new place, searching for new venues for livelihood will be a great challenge, especially for women. Then hurricane, if the temperature which is at 1 degree rise, and if by 2050 it has been estimated it will go up to 150 1.5 degree centigrade, if we go on releasing the GSCs like the way at present it is there, and temperature goes on increasing, then the frequency of the hurricane will increase by 15%, rainfall will increase by 20%, there will be a devastating crop destruction. Now we have seen Uttarakhand flood 2013. We have faced rainfall in J&K in 14 and the summer 15 flood in Chennai. And then these people who are migrating to different places for their livelihood, then they will have a competition with the people who are already there, competition with the local natural resources which are usually already burdened there. So United Nations High Commission for the Refugees, they have introduced a bill 2016, so for the safeguarding the interests of the migrants. 2016 New York Declaration for Refugees for Migrants is there, but then human health is impacted. WHO has found in their report 2002 that climate change induced 2.4% diarrhea and 6% malaria in middle income countries. So the spread of the typhoid, cholera, amphibic dysentery, giardiasis, viral disease, chikungunya, and Zika virus, dengue, ticks, that will spread like anything if the temperature goes on increase. Then heat stress, that will be more, which will lead to the heat edema, heat rashes, heat cramp, dizziness, nausea, diarrhea, numbness of the hands and feet, and syncope, heat stroke, kidney disease, and pollen allergy, cardiovascular disease if the temperature goes on increasing. And there will be drastic reduction in the agriculture production. 12 million hectare land has already been lost, which means 20 million tons lost the food gains at the moment. Then and by now there is a lot of degradation process which are there, and we are seeing that there is a desertification on the alarming stage, and in last 25 to 30 years the world has lost forest area equivalent to South Africa. So what can we do at the moment? That be involved in the plantation drive where there is opportunity to plant. Let's plant a tree, and do not throw any garbage in and around forest area and water resources. Don't pollute them. Try to avoid all kinds of practices which enhance the aerosol in the atmosphere. Keep your surrounding clean and green. Maintain proper hygiene to be healthy. Follow all protocol which leads to climate justice, equality, and socio-economic security by not ozone depleting substances product. So thank you very much. If any query, I am there to reply. Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. It was good to know about the complete picture of ozone, how it's formed, its impact and mitigation measures, what could be taken. And I'm sure the participants must have benefited knowing about the different facets of climate, sir, for sparing your time. You can close your PPT now, yeah.
Thank you.
I now request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Nageshwar Raoji, to address us. Sir has been the guiding force who always motivates us and inspires us to organize such functions and work for the greater cause of the society, and to discuss and deliberate on the important issues which are facing the planet today. Sir, I humbly request you to bless us with your address.
Good noon to all of you. I have listened to all the three distinguished speakers carefully. A lot of factual information is being made available to all of us. And most of this information is eye-opener to laymen like us. Distinguished Chief Guest, Dr. M. Rajivan ji, Dr. S.D. Atri ji, Dr. G. Ram Sahibi ji, and the distinguished participants. This is a great awareness program, specifically in the context of ozone layer. We talk about it, we discuss about it, and when it comes to implementation, we mostly ignore most of the things which are being talked over here. And that is why the environmental disruptions take place. Because if you see, the climate change is the most important disruption which we find. Of course, there are health hazards for which the details have been submitted by Ram Sahibi ji. Almost all sorts of diseases, they may affect us, and they are affecting us because of the disruptions which they take place in environmental areas. And small things, if we keep in mind, then most of these issues, they can be addressed. And that is what the distinguished speakers, they try to enlighten all of us. We are really thankful to them. Because even in Delhi also, if you see, that during the last 7 to 8 years, how the environmental disruption that has affected the health hazards. And the people, they know that how the fire which takes place in Haryana or in border states is affecting the air quality of Delhi. And especially the people who live in Delhi, how they all suffer. We have forgot to celebrate Deepavali. How this concern can be addressed. And that is the great learning, great awareness to all of us. Rightly said by Sahabi ji, that forest area, deforestation, forced deforestation, it is going up speedily. And we find that the number of trees, in spite of the rules and regulations, they are being put to stop the tree cutting. And more trees, they are being planted. But still, the pace of cutting the trees is much more than what we plant new trees. And that is why the statistics which is given to us is South Africa, entire area of South Africa, equal to that, the deforestation is taking place. Ozone layer, people usually talk about it. And only a few of us listen to that. And rightly so, when our School of Interdisciplinary Studies come forward to have an awareness seminar. This is an awareness seminar specifically to know that how the things they are moving and what precautions we can make in understanding the complexities of our industries, our trade, our commerce, our transportation, and so on and so forth. Everywhere the concern of environmental issues that becomes very, very important. And they all are to be addressed. And here, especially once we feel that Indira Gandhi National Open University, we are reaching to the underprivileged. We are reaching to those areas where the spread of education is relatively low, deprived sections of the society. Our number is also very large. And if we spread this particular awareness amongst our young learners, the impact will be much more, because they are the future of this country. And if they are aware of these adversities of ozone layer, the negative implications, negative impacts, the hazards which we all have to face, then we all will be benefited for future. Rajivanji has rightly said that not for ourselves, we have to think about our future generations. For them also, we have to be specifically concerned that how the negative effects of this ozone layer that can be minimized. I would like to request Director SOITS to prepare 1 or 2 page brief note to show that what is ozone layer and what are its implications, how we can conserve our environmental strengths, plantation, etc., whatsoever we can do it. Because don't look at the numbers, because what is being done in case of plantations we are observing is wherever the plants are there, we are again putting the plants or transplanting the plants at the same places. It is not working. We have to identify new areas. So can we have 1 or 2 page note which we can put it for all, use it for all? Because our strength is around 35 lakh learners, 35 lakh families in the country as a whole. And that family, if they start knowing about it, if they are aware of the adversities of this particular environmental concern, then the things, it may give you better shape for the future. Our industries, our trade, our transportation system, our air quality, all those interconnected issues, they can easily be addressed. And on this occasion, I'm really thankful to my distinguished speakers, the great speakers, who have enlightened all of us to see that what we are supposed to do by remembering this International Day for the preservation of the ozone layer. And by being aware of all those concerns, we can treat our path in a better way. And that is the gift to our younger generations. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your guidance. Definitely, we will reach to the learners by organizing such programs and sensitizing them about various environmental issues which are of concern in today's scenario. So with this, we come to an end of the awareness webinar on ozone layer depletion, protecting life on Earth. At the end, I now request Professor B. Ropini to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Diksha. National Seminar Chairperson, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Nageshwar Rao ji. Pro Vice Chancellors, Professor R.P. Das ji, Professor Satyakam ji, Professor Sumitra Kukrite ji, Professor Uma Kanjilal ji, Professor Meena ji, Professor Mahapatra ji, and specially National Seminar Chief Guest, Dr. M. Rajivan ji, former Secretary, Ministry of Earth Science. Guest of honor, Dr. S.D. Atri ji, Additional Director General of Meteorology. And guest of honor, Dr. G. Ram Sahib ji, IFS, former Additional Principal, Chief Conservator of Forest, Himachal Pradesh. Directors of schools, division heads, regional directors, colleagues, and dear research scholars. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, Professor B. Rupini, on behalf of Faculty, School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies, and on my own behalf, extending a very hearty vote of thanks to all speakers for their willingness and also the involvement to take on the completion of this work beyond their comfort zone and gracing this occasion and sharing your important work with us and their findings and opinions on the theme of International Day 2022, which is the protecting life on Earth. The main strategy for protecting life on Earth is based on the protecting ozone layer. It demonstrates how significant global crisis can only be resolved via collaborative decision making and action that is informed by science. The message of the ozone treaties, which emphasizes working together in harmony and for the greater good, is more crucial than ever in this year of the coronavirus epidemic, which has caused such social and economic misery. The day's catchphrase, ozone for life, serves as a reminder that not only is ozone essential for life on Earth, but also we also need to continue protecting ozone layer for the sake of coming generations. Further, we are grateful to our seminar chief guest, Dr. M. Rajivanji, for demonstrating his experiences from exhaustive atmospheric effects and climate change. Sir, you have emphasized not only on climate change and its influence on the agriculture and human health, but also focused on its influence on the various strategies for diversity of vegetation, various forest ecosystems, and also with respect to long-term temperature goal and climate neutral goal, promoting technologies in climate-induced agriculture and various environmental performance index updates in the Montreal Protocol, and also the national solutions for future generations and sustainable development by public participation, which is a need of the hour. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to express sincere thanks to guest of honor, Dr. Atriji, for giving an extensive coverage to his idea on interconnected challenges of climate change and its action failure, extreme weather, biodiversity loss, social cohesion, erosion, and livelihood crisis, natural variability contributing factors of climate change, and also special emphasis on statistical analysis of GHGs, IPCC 6th report and Working Group 123, and their proceedings for the next 20 years with respect to science, impacts, adaptation, and also the vulnerability and finally mitigation strategies. Easy way to identify human exposure by shadow length is very, very interesting, sir. Special emphasis on renewable energy on blue, green, gray hydrogen, apart from yellow and purple hydrogen fuels, for including green technologies, executing them for regular practice. Thank you very much, sir. I also wish to express my deep sense of gratitude to guest of honor, Dr. G. Ram Sahibiji, for providing detailed encouragement to talk in spite of present unpleasant and alarming statistical data and projected one for declining ozone depletion and its mechanism, its impacts on poles, and also global terrestrial as well as marine life. You have given the history and evolution of various environmental conventions from the inception to COP26 Glasgow in 2021. It's very, very informative lecture, sir. We all are inspired by all your great lectures, sir. I extend my deep sense of gratitude to our chairperson, our own Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir. Without your constant encouragement and instinct support, an event like this can't happen overnight, sir. You have made emphasis on climate change disruptions linked to health hazards, stubble burning in Haryana, contributing to air pollution, natural disruptions, and also forced deforestation for human greed without substituting them, and significance of environmental concerns and maintain equilibrium at our end by spreading awareness to our younger minds by preparing a report. Our special thank you, sir. And also I extend my deep sense of gratitude to the Director, COE, Director, Computer Division, and PRO for their technical support. Finally, and importantly, I thank our own Director, Professor Shachisham, who have been the backbone of this event. Thank you, ma'am. I once again want to state that we are grateful to all our speakers of the day and participants as well. We thank you all once again for being with us today. It has been a great pleasure. I wish you all a very happy International Ozone Day, and we should remain committed to sustaining and building on the progress that has been made in the last 30 years and look forward to continuing our domestic actions to ensure the sustained recovery of the ozone layer for future generations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us, for motivating us, for encouraging us. With the permission of Chair of the seminar, Professor Nageshwar Rao sir, we end this seminar, and sincere thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.